the general and the general aspect of it.
Right.
And I do understand there's certain things that are different that we have to kind of adjust to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but in general, like I'm saying stuff like change your name on your birth certificate,
Yeah, I've seen that one.
or
Yep.
your
Hmm.
driver's license, being protected against discrimination in the workplace, stuff like that.
But they do have a website on a that you can do that with your birth certificate. They have a website where you could change your name and
Yeah, but I'm
everything.
saying, but my thing is, I think that it should not be such a hard thing
Yeah,
to do.
task. Yeah, yeah,
It shouldn't be such a
exactly.
hard task, especially if you
Yes,
have, the doctors and everything behind you to prove that's what you did, because people will try to, work that not they will try to work it to where they're not part of the trans community, but they want that benefit. So I understand there has to be some kind of firewall or some kind of security measure up just to
right.
validate who you are. But for the most part, it's like, you talk about humanity rights, and it's just crazy that um some of these things that we have to fight for
Mhm.
our trans sisters and brothers,
Yep.
to happen. That's just crazy.
Right. Exactly. But then we know we also got the negative part of people trying to be trans and they're not, just to be benefit, to be perverts.
Well, you're always going to have, no matter what you're talking about, no matter what group, no matter what topic, you're always going to have some exceptions to the rule. You're always going to
Yeah,
have those that make it their business to go against something that you're passionate about or something
exactly.
that you're going for. But what was interesting to me is just that, that there has to be specific laws to protect our trans brothers and sisters. That's just crazy. Like I said,
Yeah, it
there
should
should be
be.
humanity laws. I mean, I know one of the big topics that came up lately, or not lately, but recently, is bathroom. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about
Yeah,
the bathroom
yeah.
situation?
I think because I don't know if I had mentioned it when I was in Vegas. I was telling you that I was we went to the bathroom, but I didn't witness it. One of my friends that I was there with witnessed some lady giving a trans woman the dirty look and almost like want to say something. But I wasn't. If I was in the bathroom, trust it wouldn't have went down like that. I would have said something. But stuff like that, where I think they should. I really think they should. I mean, they shouldn't, but I think they should have their own certain bathrooms. This way, they could be, protected and safe. Because some of these people know they. Some of them, I guess, they have radar to know that they're not. They're trans, and they
Hmm.
really, yeah. So it was, yeah. That night was crazy.
Well, you know what? I went to an establishment recently, um, in Philadelphia. I mean, I'm not going to name drop or anything like that. I'm not, I
Right.
want to keep this issue on our trans brothers and sisters and not on trying to promote a business or something like that, because I
Right.
don't know what their meaning was, but the setup was kind of interesting. I went to their bathroom, right? They did not have like male female bathroom. What they had was this big space,
Right.
and all around the space there were rooms with doors. There were no openings in the door, so you couldn't like peek through the, how
Right.
sometimes you go places, you're like, dang, people can see me because you can see through the cracks that were
Right.
underneath.
Exactly. Yes.
They were all like completely closed in, but there were rooms. And when you went in the room there was like enough space to kind of move around. There was a
Hmm.
toilet, there was trash, there was whatever you needed. But
Typical
my thing
bathroom.
was a typical bathroom, but it was only one big space. There was no separation of
No
male female.
separation. Wow.
Like anybody could go down there, and you went into a room. I mean, you had to
Right.
come out with everybody else and wash your hands. It was like one of those big, long industrial sinks, that the
Yeah.
sensor ones where hold your hands under and the water flows. But everybody came and washed their hands in the same
Right.
place. But you had
Question.
little rooms, so you could
Right.
be right beside anybody, and their business is their business. You don't hear them. I think it's like it might even be like brick or something in between
Oh,
them. It's not like stalls. They weren't stalls. They were rooms.
okay.
And I just thought that was interesting. I never saw that before. And when I was researching,
Mm-hmm.
for trans rights in Delaware, that kind of came to my mind. Like, why not have a
Why not
neutral
have something like that?
bathroom
Yeah,
like that? Yeah. Why not have that? I mean, I don't think anybody needs to be put in the spotlight just because they want to go to the bathroom.
exactly. Or
You know what I
feel
mean?
unsafe. Right. Right.
So now
Exactly.
I know that in Delaware they have this thing where they call the no no negative law, which
Okay.
means that if you have a no negative law, well, excuse me, if you have a negative law, it ain't no. If you have a negative law, it
Mhm.
means that the state will allow cities and counties um, to pass non discrimination laws, right?
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah.
But Delaware doesn't have that. So you know that if a business, and the reason why I say that is because if a business decides that they want
They
to
don't do
discriminate against someone, they're doing that themselves. They
it.
cannot
Exactly.
say the state of Delaware um, requires that we. No, the state of
Be
Delaware
like
doesn't.
that. Right. Oh, okay. That's
You
what's
know, the
up.
state of Delaware doesn't. But but still, it's like it's almost like, and I can't wait till our guest get on here because she probably can
Elaborate.
explain this, explain it to
Yeah.
me a little bit better
Yeah.
because my confusion
Definitely.
is right. Because my confusion is, I believe that the loophole in the laws when they say they're going to protect, um, when they say sex, they're
Right.
referring to
It's
cis
just.
cis male,
Oh.
cis woman,
Yeah.
because they will not acknowledge transgender as a sex, transgender as a sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's not covered under that verbiage. You know what I mean?
Oh. Right. And I don't
So
understand why not.
right, and I hope that our guest does come on because I just want her to explain that a little bit so I can understand it because I'm
Me
like,
too. Yeah.
but they're male. What my thing is, once you've been determined, once your birth certificate's changed, your
Right.
ID
Right.
changed,
You
you
that you
are
are what you are. Yeah.
you are what you are. So
Yeah.
I think every law after, everything after that, you should be protected. It shouldn't matter whether you're
You
cis or
shouldn't.
whether you're trans,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. If
And we
they
say
give
that, but
you,
who are we
yep.
preaching to? Because there's still tons of laws out there that we got to fight for.
Oh
Tons
yeah.
of doors we got to open. I mean, shoot,
Exactly.
we even Sarah McBride. I'm sure she's had so many obstacles to go through just to get where she's at, as
Mm-hmm.
far as
Oh,
the
for sure.
politicians
For
in
sure.
Delaware. But it's crazy.
For
It's just
sure.
crazy.
For sure. I think it's always, if there's people out there that are like how they are, it's always, even laws, and even when laws are passed that help people to be protected, there's still going to be people out there trying to fight those laws and make it still difficult for transgender people.
Yeah, people just I don't know. People want everything to be black and white. They don't want any gray. Gray
Right. They
makes them
don't.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And my thing is, you can say things, but what is it that you're doing? Words, you need actions behind it. So,
Hmm.
you want to say, oh no, we're inclusive, we're diverse, but what are your actions? What is your
Exactly.
history? You should not, if you happen to be uh one of our trans brothers and sisters, if you happen to be a trans person, my thing is people just want to be people. They don't
Yeah.
want a
They just want
spotlight
to be
on
on
them.
here
They
to
don't want
live.
you want to go
Right.
out to dinner. You just want to go out to dinner. You want to go. You got to go to the bathroom.
Right.
You just want to go to the bathroom. You know
And,
what I
and
mean?
yeah.
You go to
It's just,
work. You just want to go to work.
right. Right.
I
With all
always
that
tell
else.
people when people come up to me and say, "Angel, how do we acknowledge this or that?" You let other people lead you to who they are. You don't
Exactly.
lead them. If somebody says, you know, um, can you please, from this point on, my name is this, then you just
Right.
adjust and call them that name. I don't understand what the big
Exactly.
problem
It's not
is.
that hard. Right.
Right. I don't see what the big problem is. And people are like, well, I'm not going to remember. Yes, you will. You remember names all the time.
Exactly. Like, it's always an excuse. It's always an
Yeah.
excuse to go the opposite way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never on a straight path of just being respectful.
Right. I know that there's a lot of laws that are going up, being proposed for trans rights in the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Like I know that Delaware has a lot going on there. It's time for them to really specifically acknowledge
Yeah,
the support or the diversity of the state.
exactly. Because and Delaware is not a big state. It's not even a big
Yeah.
state. So why is it so hard to even do that? It's not like New
Uh,
York.
I
Very,
think sometimes that works as a default that it's a small state because
yeah.
everybody, it seems like everybody's in everybody's backyard. You know
Right.
what I
Everybody
mean?
know
Like,
everybody now.
right, it seems like when you're in a bigger city, um, you tend to have to, you got to be diverse. You need
Right.
to deal with all people. You can't sit there with a certain group going, pointing your finger at someone or saying that you're not going to do this or that. And I think it's
Right.
crazy that all the states around us
Hmm.
acknowledge certain things, but Delaware just won't. Um,
Yeah, I don't
it's
need
just,
that.
but hopefully in the next few years, with all the legislatures that are being um, introduced, hopefully something to come through to where you know at least legally,
Right.
have a legal foundation. Even though we are still
Right.
probably going to have to fight for our fellow brothers
Right.
and sisters, but at least
Exactly.
legally we'll have something to hold on to. But
Yeah.
it's just a shame. I would love for one of our trans families to come on and talk to us. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would because I'm always willing to understand and learn. I
yeah,
heard, is there such a thing as the ACLU? I see that they
yeah, the
help.
ACLU.
Yeah, they help. I wonder if I guess knows about this or can elaborate on this too.
I don't know. I hope whether it be our guests or whether it be someone listening to us in the sound of our voice
Yeah.
and just want to go and click on the
Well,
link and
yeah.
come in and give an opinion,
We
we would love it. Because we can talk about it all day, but I would love to
yeah.
actually hear from a trans person to give me, you know,
I would love
that
to
point of
hear
view.
from
Because
somebody
we fight the
transgender.
fight for
Uh-huh.
everyone, for our whole rainbow family. And I feel bad
Yeah, we
for our,
could.
yeah, sometimes I feel bad for our transgender population only because they get clumped in with the sexual orientation and people don't know how to
Right.
separate
The
sexual
difference, yeah,
orientation from,
from
gender
yeah.
identity.
I know they think we all we do is sleep with each other.
Well,
But
they
I
think
would
all
love
we
to
do is sleep
talk
with
to
each other,
somebody, huh?
but in the but my thing is that's gender. That has nothing to do with
Right.
sexual
Exactly.
orientation and people
Right.
clump it all
But
together. So
because that's why people don't. That's why we have these discussions so we can get people to understand that there's two different. I would love to talk to somebody in the military that's transgender.
yeah, yeah, that would be interesting. Well, we do have, I'm not gonna say her name or put her out there or anything, but we do have someone who um I believe she was in the military for a little bit. Um
Yeah.
I believe she was, but not sure. And matter of fact, I might see
Oh yeah.
if what she's doing and see if I can get her on.
Okay.
I mean,
And
I
don't
would just
forget
love
the
to.
jail. Don't forget the jails too.
Yeah, I
When
mean
it comes
everything,
to
everything.
yeah.
Like you figure the big topics have been the bathroom,
Mhm.
sports.
Oh
There's
yeah.
sports is
Yeah.
really a hot topic right now.
It is. It is.
About and
But you
I'm
eat it.
personally I can't really go one way or the other because I do believe in equality. I do believe in fairness.
Yeah.
But we can't talk talk around the elephant in the room when it comes to physical differences.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I
well, for
mean?
sure.
So
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
yeah.
For
And
sure.
I was on TikTok.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And there was a trans lady that's on TikTok, and she had said something that made me think a little bit. She was like, when it was men only playing sports and
Mm-hmm.
women wanted to play, they made a whole category. You know what I
Right.
mean, for women's
Right.
sports. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look,
Exactly.
NBA,
Mm-hmm.
WNBA,
Mm-hmm.
and she was saying that why not make a category for like transgender
Yeah.
sports?
Exactly.
That and my thing is not. I'm not saying that I agree with, but I got to thinking. I'm like, I mean, even though legally we should acknowledge and personally we should acknowledge someone's gender regardless of their cis or trans.
Right.
There is a difference have if you were born with the skeletal of a muscular man
Right.
and you happen to be trans. I mean, is it fair for a 6 foot,
Like it.
you know what I mean, um, two something muscular
Mm-hmm.
trans to be in the same category as a
The woman's
petite,
stuff. Mm-hmm. I
um,
know.
5 foot woman? But
Yeah,
then
and
again, they're even in the
it's
same sex,
yeah,
there's a physical difference
yeah.
because there is like, I mean, shoot, the women in the WNBA is like what, 7 feet.
Some of them are, yeah.
And I'm sure they played in games where they played against women who were like 5
Yeah,
feet and some
yeah, for
change.
sure. Yep.
So that's what I'm on the fence with that because I think in some instances I'm like, oh, that's not fair physically. But in other instances, I'm like, if they both got the same skill set.
Yeah, yeah. That right there is kind of iffy. That right there get a lot of people heated with that because a lot of people don't think transgender women should be with regular women in sports. But I say, like you said, make their own league, make their own, you know. But then it wouldn't be fair because they really identify as women. So why wouldn't they want to compete with women?
Right, right. I
So
mean,
it's a iffy
I
thing.
would that's just, when I was going, I'm like, Angel, how do you, when I was looking some stuff up, because what I noticed and what I don't have any, too much reference to is, like I said, there wasn't too much that I could find about trans rights in Delaware. It's kind of like right now, everything is caught up in the loophole. You're protected because you're caught up in the loophole. There's no
Right,
specific things to if a trans person, something happened to a trans person in Delaware, that they would have a legal ground, to
right.
go forth on. So that's why I would love to have someone in the community,
To
you
tell,
know,
yeah, to
yeah,
talk
just
to us.
talk to us about it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it. Yeah, it would help because I would love to know because it's like, and plus we don't even have too many places for us to go, like to hang out or like really party and nothing. We don't even have that in too much in Delaware.
Well, the thing about Delaware is it's so close to so many major cities. I think people outsource themselves and then come home to Delaware and rest.
Right,
But you
right,
know what? It doesn't matter because we still need to have something that protects everyone. The one thing about Delaware is they want to claim diversity and this and that, but you gotta protect all your
exactly.
residents, all your
Everybody.
all your
Yep,
Delawareans.
yep, exactly. So I know, but yeah, they say LGBT rights in Delaware, but not yeah. Yeah, we just need to get somebody that's in that, so they can enlighten us so we can understand better because I don't know what's really going on for the transgender out here in Delaware. It's too much.
Well, I know they said that. I know when I was looking up, they had said that. I think Governor Jack Markell had signed a bill into law. I'm trying to think of what one it was to protect transgender rights. I think his had to do with the birth certificate. I think his had to do with getting a sexual reassignment um, on the birth certificate, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. And I think that just happened like in about 2000. Actually, I think that happened to be around in 2015, 14, 15.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think if I'm not mistaken, that's to the birth certificates.
Yeah, I think I seen that because you was able to put your information on. That's what I seen when I went and researched online about the birth certificate.
And then I didn't realize that they had a lot in the law about conversion therapy. And I didn't even think of that at first. Like I guess
Yeah,
so because I
because
guess conversion
yeah,
therapy. Well,
yeah.
are you familiar with conversion therapy?
Not really, but is that required before you have the
No,
trans?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no, not at all. But what it was is that I guess back in the day before they started making laws or whatever, um, if you claim to be part of the LGBTQIA community, regardless
mhm.
of whether it's a sexual orientation or a gender identity, they would send you to conversion therapy, because they're
Oh,
so
to
that you
make
can
go back to the other, go back
to
straight.
go back to not back, because my thing is go back where if that's what you are. That, if to
Yeah,
me, I truly
yeah,
believe that's
try to,
getting from
yeah,
young, but they want you
for
to
sure.
follow some heteronormative structure or something like that. You got to be
So,
straight and heterosexual. So I've
for
seen a lot of
sure.
conversion therapy, and I'm like, I didn't realize how many times conversion therapy was in laws to where they had to actually amend that law to remove the requirement of conversion therapy in a lot of things.
Right.
Like I didn't even know that sending somebody to conversion therapy has some kind of legal protection.
Mm,
So
wow.
now I see where they're trying to um, kind of mend certain things and remove that conversion therapy piece
Yeah.
of it. It's like unbelievable. I mean, I'm familiar with it, when it comes to sexual orientation, but I did not know um, that legally they combine gender identity with it.
Wow. I tell you what. How about we all just go and get it on a different planet, and we just start our lives as just we just
Look,
look.
how about we put all our money together and buy our own little city or town? You
Yeah,
know how they
right.
usually that just pop up somewhere and start
Exactly.
our own town.
And then
But
you know how that is. The heterosexual, they'll follow us. They won't. I don't think there's no such thing as
yeah,
heterosexual.
but you know what? I don't know. I don't know if that would cover our trans community because, like I said, just because you are trans, that has nothing to do
Mhm.
with your sexual orientation. So there
Orientation,
are
right?
heterosexual trans. There are homosexual trans and there are heterosexual
Yeah,
trans.
yeah,
So that would cut out, excuse me, part of our community.
yeah.
But
True.
I don't know. That would be nice, though. That would be really nice.
Right, exactly. But in the long run, we all need to still support each other.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
that's the key word, support, because so there's a lot that people go through, especially transitioning. That's like I said, I had a friend that was in a relationship with a lesbian woman, and she transitioned, but she didn't tell her. They was married. She didn't tell her, and after a while, it just didn't work. Because she didn't want to be with her. She wanted to be with a woman.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. Being a cisgender woman, I can only imagine what our trans sisters go through. And then to
Yeah,
have not be protected by law. Uh,
exactly.
I mean, the only thing that I can compare it to is the black flight. Plight. Just the how us and our ancestors have
Hmm.
struggled to get rights for black folks because we were looked at up as animals, or property.
Right.
And that's like that and the fact that we also have the sexual orientation challenge, with people wanting to discriminate or do whatever with that. So even though I'm not trans, and I don't think it compares exactly, but it's
Mhm.
very similar to the fight that we all have to give for our
Right.
civil rights. It's just crazy, you know.
Exactly.
And the thing about our trans community, even though me and you may have a sexual orientation that's outside of the excuse me, the norm,
Mhm. Right.
even though we may have a sexual orientation that's outside of the norm, we're still kind of protected because we're cisgender females. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to our trans brothers and sisters, the basic stuff they can't even get just respect for that. Acknowledgement,
Right.
respect, and protection for that. So
Exactly.
it's got to be, they have to be, strong people. I
Yeah.
mean,
You
I can't
think?
call them anything else but strong.
Right. Do you think like when a woman well no, I'll say when a man transitions into a woman, do you think and they look just like do you think they when they get with somebody, do you think they should reveal that they was once a man or does that like be like oh it's in the past? Cuz
I
I'm
think I really think that I'm sorry. I'm go ahead. Finish telling
cuz
me.
some can get the whole surgery, and really, but some still have the male part. But I'm just saying for the ones that have the whole surgery done to really have, I wonder do they have, do they reveal that they was once a man to their partner or or just leave it alone.
Well, in my uneducated opinion, I feel like that really should be a decision up to the trans person to reveal what they need to reveal. But I do think that um, if you're going to be intimate with someone and have a real relationship with them, then you may want to have a conversation depending on whether you're completely transformed or whether you're partially transformed.
Right,
Because if you're
right,
partially, you definitely need, I don't think that it's required that they got to put their business out to everybody they meet because we
right,
don't. You
exactly.
know what I mean? I wouldn't want, I wouldn't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Right,
And I'm a lesbian. That doesn't
right,
mean every time I talk to somebody, I'm up there going, I'm a lesbian and I'm a
right.
cisgender female. And,
Yeah,
if we're not going to be intimate, you don't really need to know that about me.
you know that.
But I
Right,
feel like it's their call. It's the individual call case by case. But I do think that that is something you might want to tell someone you're getting real serious about. Like I
right,
said, I don't think you need to shout everything out from the door to everybody. Everybody don't need to know your business
right,
like that. That's just ridiculous. Wanting someone to just walk in the door and announce to everybody that they're a trans woman or trans man.
right.
That's not.
Exactly.
They worked very hard to get where they were at, wherever
Right.
they're at, to be right
Exactly.
there. And I think they need to be respected for that. I don't think
Mhm.
if a trans woman or man came into a function or something or came into a place, they should just be treated as men, women. Cut the
Mhm.
trans. You
Exactly.
know, it doesn't matter how they look, doesn't matter what their stature is, because for real, I done seen some cis women that look like men and some cis men
Mhm.
that look
Mhm.
like women.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I just think that
Exactly.
people should be respected for that. And as far as revealing who they are or who they were or whatever, um, like I said, I do think if you're in a serious relationship with someone or wanting to get in a serious relationship with someone, or you get to that point, because even with somebody you meet and be like, oh, I like them from the door, you still want
Mhm.
to make sure that person's for you, you know.
Mhm.
So, as far as a past life, I guess you want to
Right.
call it, um, I think if you're going to be serious with someone, you might have you
Yeah,
almost
I
have
feel
to
the
because you're going to be
same.
meeting family. What happens when you look at the pictures? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't see how
and
you can
yeah,
protect someone from all that. So if you're going to be serious with someone, you may want to tell them, but outside of that, I don't think it should be.
right.
I think it should be the individual if they choose to. Great. If they don't, great. Um,
Because at one point there was a lot of transgender women, being unalived, really seriously hurt because I guess they were, some of them were messing with like straight men that didn't want to be outed, So that's why I was saying that because, you got to be careful with the heterosexual men. Some of them, they don't want people to know that they mess with trans women. So
mhm.
that's why I was saying that to be, to let that person know, especially if you get sexual with them.
Yeah. So that's why I think that it's number one. I don't think it's something that needs to be revealed to everybody.
Not to
And
everybody,
and
no.
it's not even about hiding it. It's just about respect. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
bust into a room and say, "Hey, everybody, I'm cisgender."
Me neither.
So
Wow,
you
they could
guys
see
can,
out.
Exactly. So why should someone have to come in the room? Because people will be like, well, they should have told me. Why? Did you tell them anything
Right.
about you? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, did you come in? Did you tell everybody you sis? I mean, how are you going to ask somebody to do something that you haven't even done? You don't even do.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think that in itself is disrespectful. If a man comes
Yeah.
through the door, it's a man. If a woman comes through the door, it's a woman. It's not,
Right.
I mean, you can have your curiosities and stuff, but I think that should be something that you approach them with and allow them to answer however they need to, however they choose to
Yeah.
answer.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because
But
people
yeah.
are going to have their curiosities. You can't
Oh
stop
yeah.
them. We all get them. The whole,
Me
every,
too. Me
there's
too.
nobody in the rainbow family that can tell me that they don't get them. So,
I do. I do.
and I think because of their people's perspective of trans, I just think that it's crazy that some of the humanity laws that we have can't automatically include them because they're not acknowledged as a gender under the sex
Right.
word. You know, that's just
Exactly.
crazy.
It is very sad. But yeah. Yeah, I always wanted to know that about revealing what you were because, especially if they get with a heterosexual man in a relationship and then he don't know and then they want to have kids and they can't really have kids like that, then that's another topic.
Yeah, that's why I think that when you, especially if you're going to marry something now, I mean, there's levels to it. There's, excuse my language, there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
So I think that um, they should be able to reveal what they choose to reveal when they're ready to reveal, if they choose
Right.
to reveal anything.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's
I,
it.
but I, but I do think that no matter what happens, they should be, regardless of what they choose to do in their personal life. I still think that in the professional world or in the, in outside world and professional world,
Yeah.
um, they should still be able to have rights. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. Definitely.
and we're talking like basic stuff. We're talking like employment. We're talking like we were talking about birth certificates. We're talking about driver's
Mhm.
license stuff. We're talking about
Yeah.
families. We're talking
Yep.
about families. I know some trans people that are going back and forth in the courts because their the other parent of their children, when they
Oh,
made the transition,
didn't
uh,
want them to
no,
be around the kids.
right, don't want them to be around the kids. So they're fighting because there's no there it's hard to find laws just to be able to validate them in a courtroom. Like,
Right.
are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, they are still the parent of that child. That should
Exactly.
be a teachable moment for them, for both parents. It should not be something that the
Yeah.
courts um should get involved in.
Exactly. Exactly, because a lot of people that are heterosexual look at us like we are monsters, like we nasty, or we this, or we can't be parents, or we can't this and that, or our kids are going to turn like us when they grow up, So it's just a lot of stuff that goes on,
It's
with
just that
them.
they don't have the bait. My thing is, I'm sure, they need to have just have the basic rights like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking basic rights, like male, if you're male, female, and think about, they may even refer to themselves as something other than male or female. It doesn't matter. You know what I
Right,
mean? You still, as for humanity, a humane law, you should still
right.
have rights. You still should be protected. You still should be able to go to work
At the bottom line,
and
yep,
know that
and
you're
not be
protected at work
harassed.
against
Right.
discrimination, right? You still
Exactly.
should be able to go into a
Get
restaurant, go
housing.
into a
Yep.
club, or go into wherever everybody else goes into and be protected.
Protected, and everything be fair and respectful. Yep.
Yeah.
That's in the
That's in a
fairy
perfect
tale
world.
world, but not
Yeah,
this
that's in
one.
a fairy tale world, and that's unfortunate. Unfortunate,
Exactly.
unfortunate.
You know.
I really did wish that one of our somebody in our trans family, um, I would love to hear their thoughts on all this stuff that's going on around them: sports,
Right.
bathroom, custody of children, having children, um, all the
That's what I'm
things that
saying.
are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have this platform for people to express and get stuff done, but it's like we can hardly, get the support. But it's here. You come on here, talk, and you never know, things can happen.
Thing is, I think everybody should support trans rights. It's a shame
Hmm.
that we even have to
Exactly.
fight for that, but I think everybody should, because
Allies too.
it may be you next time. Whatever is
Hmm.
going on in your life, it may be something you identify with that you
Exactly.
are not going to be protected, and you're going to want to rally, everyone to rally behind you for that. So
Right.
when it comes to humanity, I think that it doesn't matter whether you I don't even want to say agree, because it's not really anything that I would consider anybody needs to agree with. But whether
Right.
you understand it or not understand it, acknowledge it or not, I still think you should um, fight for rights, humanity rights.
Exactly. Exactly.
Y'all hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to jump on for a little bit. No, I am not trans, but the topic for tonight is the reasons why you should support trans legislation. Um, in my opinion, we already know what, the disadvantages being trans, what they go through, the unlimited of rights, and then even if they do have rights, you
Hmm.
still deal with people socially,
Right.
because though things change, people don't necessarily change overnight. But the
Nope.
main reason why LGBTQ people in general need to support the trans community is because all of the advantages that you have now is because the trans community actually stepped up and fought for them, were on the front line.
Yep.
So you're able to do a lot of things. Marriage, you're allowed to go to public bars. You're allowed to own establishment. You're allowed to do so many things because of the trans community. You remember
Hmm.
Mother Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. They are
Yes.
the reason. So if not for that alone, to say, okay, thank you, Sister Marsha, um, Sister Rivera, for all you've done. Now it's time for us to come together and pay it forward.
Yep.
Hmm.
And I think the people that aren't, even the ones that aren't familiar with um, Marshall, are the people that the trans people that fought for the rights of the LGBTQI community. It's just like I kept saying, it's humanity. These are basic human rights, and it's just
Hmm.
crazy that there's a group of us that fought, like you were saying, fought for us to even fought for the rainbow family to even have what we have, but yet they're not getting their human rights protected.
Yeah.
Nope.
Also feel like their rights hinge on ours. Because if you
Oh,
start
absolutely.
on trans rights, you open the door for legislators to start combating LGBT rights in general. So
Hmm.
push back on one end of the spectrum in our community, they're going to push back on all of us. So if you're saying that we shouldn't offer gender affirming care to LGBT to trans people, and you can get that pushed back, then you can go into marriage and why that shouldn't happen for LGBTQ people. Then you could go
Right.
back. Well, you know what? Now this is a mental disorder, and let's get this place back into those psycho
Right.
Right, and one of the
back.
things that I kept noticing was the loopholes in the laws is the verbiage. You know what I mean? Like the laws don't want to acknowledge trans as a gender, so they don't get protected under that verbiage of gender. I saw that a lot in my research in Delaware, and I'm like, that's just crazy. That's why you know we still have to fight for individual trans rights. I said, it's just amazing when I was looking how it's like I said, little loopholes. You get in through little loopholes, and it shouldn't be that way.
No,
And
not
then
at all.
heterosexual people should support trans rights. And let's
Yeah,
Oh,
they should.
absolutely,
back and
absolutely.
why heterosexual, particularly women. Do you not think when you were fighting for voters' rights and the right to be able to be
Mm-mm.
financially independent, that you didn't have LGBTQ plus people fighting harder than you because we wanted that independence?
Right.
You should be supporting us, women. Women, you need to be supporting us. Eleanor Roosevelt, all of these different people. If you didn't know she was bisexual, all of them was on those front lines fighting for those rights. So
Mhm.
we call it beards now, where you know back then when women didn't have the right, and you know a male had to look over your finances, so it was either your father or your husband. So back then we had to get beards.
Oh, okay.
And so when you think about that kind of lifestyle where you are hiding, but then you're completely hiding without control, and you have to get out there and fight. Now, for a regular woman, some of y'all will probably, some grandmas will probably go good with that. Okay, we're fine with not having these rights. We still benefit. But for us in the community, that had to be held. So when it's for the heterosexual women that wanted to be free, you had to merge with us to get those freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
When
Shoot,
you
I
go
think the heterosexual women and any minority group,
forward,
what they consider a minority group.
when you
Right.
go back, it's not going to just end with the trans community. It's going to go
No.
where it came, the trans community, the full LGBT community, then women, and
Mm-hmm.
the DeSantis. That's essentially what I see him doing. He's attacked everything to get us back into the 40s and the 50s. And I
DeSantis, I don't even like putting him in my headspace because he just bulls my blood sometimes. It just really bulls my blood. And
Right.
he's definitely not going for trans rights. We can't even go
No.
on for anything else that's already there. He want to
Right.
take that away, so he's definitely not going to introduce anything new to protect anyone.
That's sad.
right, I think the I like you said, Angel, humanity fight for
Right.
humanity, and unfortunately, we can't do it as a whole. We have to do it in bits and pieces. But I think we need to continue to push for our community in general. Tonight, we're talking about the trans community. There are still pitfalls and things needed for the rest, but we ultimately need to fight together. And right now, it's like the trans community is underneath a microscope. And I feel like, this is my personal opinion. I feel like these legislators that are against the trans community are trying to find a way to use them to get to all of us. So we
Hmm.
that slip. We can't let it go back. We gotta keep pushing forward. We got
Yeah.
to. We
Right.
have to. And I'm also a firm believer if we can get the rights for the trans community, maybe perspectives will change about the way we view the African American community.
Yeah,
What?
because that's a
Yeah.
fight in itself too. Our culture, um,
Yeah.
we got a lot of prejudices
We,
and a lot of judgment.
yeah.
Uh,
So we got two strike. We got two strikes against us.
Yeah, as long
well, we just got to get out there and like we were saying, we really need to support our trans brothers and sisters. They were part of allowing us to be where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And even
Definitely.
if you weren't trans, as he was mentioning, like Eleanor Roosevelt,
Mm-hmm.
you still was part of a part of the community that was shunned, and you had to fight for whatever freedom came. So it's you should understand the plight.
So what would you recommend, like if somebody wants to get involved to help, how would, like, what would be the first steps
Go
for
to
like y-
www.imecorp.org
that's
and
the
sign
first
up
step.
and help
But
us fight for
then, like if they're in a different state, as far we're talking about really Delaware because that's where we at. But
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
there's
So,
I'm sure people watching this in other states that probably would love to get involved and try to, like, so I'm sure they might not know where to start. But yeah, www.imecorp.org.
But you
Is
know
well,
what?
that
You can what the kids say. Well, I don't think these kids say it. Maybe it was the kids before these kids. Google it. If you're in an area not in Delaware, you know what I mean. And I'm sure
yeah,
it's a lot of resources out there and information out there if
right,
you're looking for it.
to help,
exactly.
yeah, or get involved and support, yeah,
Yeah, if they're somewhere else, if they're outside of Delaware, then they can. I'm sure it's a lot of resources in their state that they can uh, just look for.
I say
okay,
the simplest thing you can do is start the conversation in your home. The
mm-hmm,
problem with the trans community and our community in general is that people try to tuck us away under the bed, hide us like we don't exist. So when people encounter us, we come out like a boogeyman, and we're not. Start the conversation in your home about what it means to be trans. Exactly. I mean, from an educational standpoint, not what you heard, not what you thought. From
what you
an
think,
standpoint, have that conversation. If you don't want to join an organization, you are whatever state you are in. Stop voting for these people that's against
right,
trans. Just
that part,
This is the
yeah,
thing. You need to vote at the
exactly,
state and local level in order to make a change. There's a lot of people I know that only vote for presidential elections. That's
right,
not where you're going to make your change. You're
yeah,
going to
because
make your change at the state and local level.
yeah,
That's where you're going to make that change.
yeah, okay,
but I say ultimately, even with the voting and all of that, I mean, come
mm,
on, had a black president. How many races you still see running around here? It has to be a social change, and that starts with education and conversation. If we can
mm-hmm,
change socially, then we wouldn't have to do all this pushing and fighting for rights. It'll just happen. But you know, the world is not like that. So until we get to that space, vote for people that aren't against trans people,
yes,
LGBT
yeah,
people,
yeah,
looking, just in general. And women, you especially, in our community, especially, because we have an issue. And I'm here and I don't mind talking about it. You
right,
know, even within our community, um, the letters have an issue with their trans brothers and
Oh
sisters.
yeah.
Mine,
mm-hmm,
when I read it and I hear it, I get so upset because it doesn't make sense to me.
mm-hmm,
If you say that the trans community has a mental issue, you're leading up for a case, a
yeah,
discussion, say that we have an issue.
Hmm.
right,
I suggest to people all the time that, how do you introduce certain conversations to how do you introduce certain topics into the conversation? You just expand the conversations you're already having. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about rights of human rights and diversity and all that, expand it. Include our trans brothers and sisters in that.
right,
Include all that. Just expand your conversation. That's where you start. Like you were saying, start from home. Expand your conversation of what you're explaining to your kids, to your family, to your friends. Expand that a little bit.
yes,
Make that conversation part of the norm instead of making it seem like it's something totally different, something separate, something that a separate spotlight has to be on. Include it in the information.
Right. And as
yeah,
far as
for sure.
the bathroom thing where people
Oh yeah, bathroom,
are
jails, all kind of stuff.
listening, you need to get over it because at one time, all of us used public bathrooms. And it was
Right?
for
Sure. If I gotta go, I go in the male's bathroom. I don't care.
outhouse sitting
Hey, the
together.
line is shorter. I'm telling you, the line is much shorter. in the men's bathroom.
Yeah,
Right.
the house
So,
didn't have plumbing inside your house. You had an outhouse, and as you were,
mhm,
there was no man, woman, whatever on this outhouse. It was whoever got there first. Now,
right.
it's like that back then. What is
Yeah.
wrong with you now? It's to me, it just sounds like you want the luxury,
Separation.
convenience, and separation.
I don't know
And
if you were listening, P, when I was talking about the place that I went in Center City where they had one big bathroom for everybody. It was
Hmm.
like rooms. It was like rooms on the outer perimeter, and the rooms when you went in the room, it was closed. Nobody could walk by. There was no cracks in the door opening on the bottom, or top. It was a room that you shut and locked. And it was enough room in there to move around. I guess if you have to change or something like that, go to the
Right.
bathroom, do whatever you need to do. They even had a mirror in the room.
Mm.
So I just thought that was very interesting, and everybody just came out the rooms when it was time to wash your hands, and they had the long, it was, and no one complained. There was
Right.
no complaints at all when I was there that I heard of somebody complaining about, somebody different being next to them in a stall or something like that because it wasn't
Hmm.
really they were rooms, and I love that concept.
Yeah.
I think you know what? What is that bar we was going to in Philadelphia? Their bathroom is unisex. It's not it doesn't say male or female. Anyone could go in there. I was in the bathroom with men, women, um, trans people, non-binary. It didn't matter. You're in there to go to the bathroom. What it? I mean, I don't know what everybody else going there for. I go there to relieve myself and get back to what I was doing previously. I'm not in there trying to figure out who's walking in and out. That's
Well, let me tell people this. It doesn't matter whether it's an all male bathroom, all female bathroom, all gender bathroom, whatever type bathroom. Perverts are in all those situations. If
right.
somebody is a pervert, they're gonna be a pervert. You know what I
Right.
mean? If
Exactly.
somebody's focused on looking at you in the bathroom, they're gonna look at you in the bathroom. We shouldn't even be having that money, like y'all was just saying. When you go to pee, you want to just go pee.
Yeah.
I'm not really too concerned with who's standing beside me, as long as I got privacy when I go to use the space.
Right.
So what
Exactly.
discuss the reasons why. Let's try to debunk some of the myths like we're doing now. The reasons why people would vote against trans legislation. Like, what would be the reason? And let's kind of like tell them why it sounds stupid.
Yeah, exactly, and that wouldn't be hard to do. That would take no research.
Right.
I wish that we did have someone on here who gave an opinion or something like
Yeah.
that we could discuss. But yeah, I would
Right.
love to hear reasons why you will not support trans rights.
The sport
Right. What's yeah? It should be no reason.
is the reason. Some of the reasons that's out here that you see. Like I surf the internet because I like to stay in tune with what's going on with regular people. I just like to just keep up with the temperature of people and get
Mhm.
what because we have some wild misconceptions about every freaking thing. We just superstitious by nature. I don't know what it is if we're born like that or whatever, but some of the reasoning, like I said, is they believe it's a mental health issue. They believe that it's just the mega reason is religion. It's just a total thing, and then the sports issue is the reason why. Um, the bathroom situations.
Mhm.
Um, then the number one, I'll say that one of the number one reasons why the black community that for me surfing, YouTube and Twitter is the destruction of the family, which I
Mhm.
find
Which completely confused me.
Right.
How
Me
did that?
too.
How is being transgender destroying your family?
Right.
so from being on Black Twitter and YouTube, and again, for the people that's listening, we're just discussing reasons why people would vote against trans legislation from listening to conversations. They believe that LGBTQ people in general destroy the family, but they believe that the trans community is the destruction of family because they, for some reason, they feel like they're losing out on men, like they're losing men.
They're losing
Oh,
men.
Yes,
And that's
oh, yeah, I heard.
I would
Yeah,
love
I
to have a
heard that.
naysayer. I would love to talk to a naysayer. I really would.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
they're losing men. And to me, it's I'm kind of confused when I'm in these chat rooms and you know I am adamant and you know I support our community so I get into these crazy ass
right.
arguments with these people. So when you hear them say, "Well, we're losing men," what should happen with the trans community? They should probably just get some type of therapy to straighten them out so they can go on their way and marry a woman. But
Mm.
the same vein, you'll hear them say, you know, something about people being down low and all this other stuff, which is
Oh, yeah,
a contradiction to me.
right.
Well, like I was saying, like we were mentioning earlier in the thing, people need to separate sexual orientation from gender identity in
Uh-huh.
some of their statements because if they really knew the difference, they would realize how stupid
Mm-hmm.
or how that sounds like they have a mental issue.
That's right.
Like they got some kind of mental deformity or something like that when they're talking like that because and another thing, I hate when people make light of it. Like, and what I mean by make light of it is they'll go, well, if they can call themselves a woman, then I guess I can call myself a can.
Yeah,
Really?
Oh, what?
You know what I mean? Like, really?
yeah.
There's
Oh,
some people
I,
like that out in the world. God dang.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. But
Makes no, are they human or are they bots?
They're
also,
mentally ill and they want to call everybody else mentally ill.
there are people that actually call into these different live streams and stuff. But at the end of the day, if you believe that the trans community is destroying, particularly Black families, you will be wrong. I believe that the destruction of a family
Heterosexual is destroying family.
dishonesty. So if you have someone that's in the family and they're trans and they know that they're trans and you want them to be unhappy to create this family, you're gonna that's a destructive family.
That's
That's
just right.
family. When they can become trans and have a family. It's other
Mhm.
have a
They
family.
can adopt. They can have their own kids.
Yes,
It's
right.
kind of one of them things that people don't realize is real basic. If someone is happy and comfortable in their skin and they have the support around them legally and personally, they will produce all kind of flowers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Children, families, stability, financial stability,
Exactly.
personal well-being, mental health, being good with mental health. I mean, they will when you're happy and you know that you have that support and people acknowledge who you are, who you know you are, that can save the family in itself because
Mhm.
somebody like that will have children or adopt children or take them or
Exactly.
do
Right.
whatever they need for the family. And in our
Exactly.
case, what we're talking about around it right now, the Black family.
Right. And they want the kids, not have kids and then don't want to be bothered with kids. You know?
Right. And who's to say that that person, even if you put them through conversion therapy and whatever, so that they won't transition, who's to say that they will have children anyway? So that doesn't even. So if
Right.
that's your funds, will get off of it. You're trying to foster toxic families. So
Right.
if then I think you should change it. But yes, that is heavily spoke about in the YouTube and Twitter space with black, especially Black men. And this
Yeah.
sport thing, oh God, if the sport issue is stopping you voting for trans rights,
I've been seeing a lot on the sports,
Yeah,
a lot of
it get
opinions on the
people
sport.
heated. They be ready to what? They be heated
I
about
am,
that.
on the trans sports front, right? And I always laugh when I hear it. I'm like, oh God, people are so simple.
Right. Always
Okay,
got something to talk about.
so you're worried about your daughter or your son competing with a trans. female or male. But
Mhm.
you're realizing that there is a such thing as an intersex female and male, and
Mhm.
how is competing with that person. And the same way that you probably think that the trans person is stronger, maybe that intersex child that you don't know about may be just as strong. So to me, either way, you're going to be playing with someone that has a little bit of testosterone or less um what's what the woman has. I can't even think of the
Estrogen.
estrogen. So either
Mhm.
way, in that position. So
But
just
look at how people are. You can take a group of women. You may find
Mhm.
some small petite women. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Mhm.
you might see a 4'5" woman that's stronger
Mhm.
than a 6 foot, 300 pound woman.
I see them. Yeah.
so
Exactly.
Donna probably could agree with this. If I can't play sports with you as a trans person, right?
Mhm. Right.
Or male or female, then how the hell can I go to war with you? Is there
Right.
a section of World War One, two, three? Are y'all separate? Do the females just combat the females and shoot the females in war? Or are you at war with everyone?
Everyone.
And to me, war is the ultimate physical combat. Like
Mhm.
have to be
Yep.
physical.
Yep.
So make
Definitely.
sense. It doesn't make how we worried about one, which is just fun and games, and then we're not worried about okay, so we're not gonna say fun and games. I see people
Mhm.
say stuff, oh, my child may not get a scholarship or my child may do this because of the trans person. But then in the flip side, when you talk
Mhm.
about in the military, you're not worried about your child losing their life to
Right.
a or trans male or trans female.
Mhm.
So again, that the logic, the logic for me.
I just think
Right.
we need to go to gender neutral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really, just
Mhm.
just not be like male sport, female sport. The bathrooms, male bathroom, female bathroom.
Yeah.
Just have sports. Just
Yeah.
have, and if you're going to separate someone, separate them by skill set. Don't separate them by gender.
Right.
Right.
Or somebody their size. Since we're worried about strength, let's measure
Mhm.
because I know some women that are stronger than men.
Mhm.
The cis women that's stronger than men.
Mhm. Yeah.
If we make that argument, we might as well start having a weight class for every sport there is.
Yeah.
I just think it should be a skill set. If it's basketball, if it'd be like JV and varsity, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if you at a certain skill set, you might go in JV, but if you can pump it up, then you go in varsity. Uh,
Yeah.
Major and minor league. If it's something like that has to do with weight, then like boxing or
Mhm.
something, then let that be a
Yeah.
weight thing.
Yeah. Because they have lightweight, heavyweight, and boxing, so they separate.
I think it'll make people improve their skills.
Yes.
Mhm.
I know that I got to go up against whoever.
Yeah. Right. I
I'm gonna,
better.
yeah, I'm gonna train a little bit better. I'm gonna
Right.
do a little bit more.
Right. Exactly.
hmm
Exactly.
But it's just a shame. I mean, it really is a shame that we have to go through this, all the time with just human rights, just human rights.
Mhm. Right. Exactly. We all human first before we identify as what lesbians and trans. We all humans first.
We're
So
not in America. You are what you are who you speak with in America.
right. If everybody just start looking at everybody as a human and not what they do in the bedroom or what they this and that, the world would be a better place.
I don't know. I just think, like I said, understanding. I think a lot of the reasoning for not supporting trans rights or have, being humane to a trans person is just me.
Right.
I think we don't really think out what we're feeling or what we're thinking. We
Right.
just dispelled some of the reasoning. Like we showed you how simple-minded some of those thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
We done told you about what the mental health aspect, if you're looking at it from a religious aspect, give me a break.
I
Yeah,
think that would
sure.
be interesting. I think like it would like I think you mentioned it a little while ago. I think it would be interesting to get some naysayers on here so that they can, speak their argument of why they should not support trans rights.
They're not gonna come on here.
Oh no, I know they're not going to come on, but I think that would be interesting if
Right.
someone did. Just to, I mean, if that's what you truly believe, you should be ready to back it up.
Right.
So I would
Exactly.
love to listen to their reasoning.
They're not gonna come
Exactly.
natural. Then I'm gonna say, okay, well, you do know that in nature there are LGBT animals and stuff. Then they're gonna say, well, the stress thing, then we with the sports, and then we already said the reason and why that doesn't make sense. And then they're gonna say it's a mental health issue. Well, we already explained that. And then it's the destruction of the family. Well, no, it's toxic to have a person in mental distress because they're actually trans, being in a heterosexual relationship, not being who they are.
Mm.
They're
Mm.
therefore identity. So I can imagine whatever argument they have is you don't have a strong enough one.
Nope.
You
No.
not strong enough. I don't know what you could possibly come out with. And like I said, being on YouTube and Twitter and all these spaces, I've heard some wild stuff, and still I haven't heard any reason why we should be against it.
I don't think I can't even think of, yeah, I'm like you. I can't think of not one thing. And I do try to play devil's advocate on some things just to give me a different perspective or just a different thought process, but I can't think of anything of why someone should not support it. Not support trans rights. I
No.
really cannot think of one valid reason to not do it.
One broadcast I was on, one guy said he just simply uncomfortable. And I was like, well,
Okay.
personal. That's a personal thing that you
Yes,
need.
it's a lot of people that you gonna tell me you comfortable with every heterosexual. I'm sure I can bring some of them around you
Right.
that's gonna make you very uncomfortable. So you're gonna go against them?
Exactly. Shoot.
The
A
whole
I
a
wonder what
transgender
they're,
might,
but I
huh?
wonder what they're uncomfortable with. You know what I mean? Like you say, somebody say, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable with that." I'm just curious what are you uncomfortable with? Like what
And,
exactly are
and
you
that
uncomfortable
and
with?
that's like a heterosexual person saying, "Oh, I wouldn't want a transgender save my life if I need CPR or I need mouth to mouth." Like, what kind of crap is that?
you say that, they're like, I wouldn't even want a trans person to save my life.
Right. People say that though. You would be surprised. The stuff that come out their mouth. Oh, I don't want them touching me. I don't want no, let me die. Like, who says that?
The Rainbow Gang. I don't want the Rainbow Gang touching me. But
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
because we
save
all
my
think of
life.
we think of sex. Even in a life and death situation, we thinking of sex, right? We thinking of fucking
Right.
somebody
Like,
up,
it don't,
transforming
right,
somebody in a life or death situation. That's what we think of. And I don't know
right,
what they think a trans person is thinking. What if you're trans?
right.
What?
Like
And it's a life or death
like a
situation. What?
transgender EMT. They ain't thinking about they trying to save your life. That's their job.
Like I don't even think like who thinks I know one thing when I'm at work, I'm not thinking that I'm a woman. You know what I mean? Like I'm not thinking about that.
Mhm.
I'm just
Right.
doing my job.
My job. Yeah. It
I'm
makes
not
no
sitting there going,
sense.
"Oh, I can't talk to that person because I'm a woman."
Mm,
Ugh,
right.
I don't think of
Exactly.
that. I think I got to do
That's
my job. I think of my position more than I think of anything
Right.
about me personally.
Another
Yeah.
that they said on the what's the name is that they felt like the trans community. I'm trying to go through some of the blogs, but the trans community changing the way that they speak English, and it's
What?
not fair. Like
What?
with now,
Wait a minute. You gotta explain that one a little more. What?
What
yeah,
happened?
Changing the way that they speak
trans
English.
community is changing the way that they have to speak English. Like you're trying to force them to change the way they were taught to speak.
Hmm?
They're comfortable. They don't want to, another thing, the pronouns and stuff is just too much for them.
And that every time somebody tells me, they have an issue with pronouns, my thing is if it pertains to the trans community, or any community, even with us with sexual orientation, I don't understand how that's hard to change because if somebody came up to you, it's like, yo, I don't. I've had people all the time say, hey, you know me by my nickname Bucky, but I don't go by that anymore. I go
Right.
by William. And they go, oh, okay, so I'll call you William now. I'm gonna stop calling you Bucky since you don't go by that no more. I don't see calling someone, a different pronoun than what you're used to any different than that. Maybe it's
Right.
just me. Maybe it's just me. But
But
if I let other people lead me. If you tell me to call you a certain name, guess what?
I'm
That's
gonna
what I'm
call you.
calling you. And if
Exactly.
that changes from, however it changed for whatever reason it changed, I'm gonna respect the fact that that's here and now, and from this
Yeah.
point on, that's what you want to be
Exactly.
called. I will get used to it. I might bump up a couple of times if I've known you too long. If you're
Yeah.
a childhood friend or if you're a family member, I may,
Yeah.
just
For
have
sure.
that mistake a couple of times. But believe me, I'll get it, and eventually, it will be where it needs to
Yeah.
be.
Exactly. It's all about. Yeah. What's the problem? Is it that hard to? If somebody say this is my name and call me this, is it that hard to do that?
People just
Like,
don't like change. But
well,
but see, the thing is they're picky with it because you're changing constantly. You constantly are changing things. You're constantly changing how you feel about people. You're constantly changing how you deal with people. So for you to nitpick and pull out certain people and go, oh, I can't deal with this change. I can deal with all the other changes, but this is the change that I can't. I just
right.
don't. I don't get that because you're capable of change. We change all the time. We constantly have to change
Exactly.
things. When we
I
get
just
married, I'm changed from calling you Brown to Harper. You know what I mean? Like
that
change
is
is always around.
that is true. But
Exactly.
in the black community, I'm not sure because I wasn't raised around a lot of Caucasian people, but only Caucasian people I saw growing up was just the people coming to sell a bike. But in the black community, be honest, you guys. Now, be honest. Think about this really hard, right? When you were younger, don't even probably your children as a child. How many times your parents corrected you because you
Hmm.
used to use the word that, and your parents say they who, they what? So that's like a natural response as a child. Like even my grandchild, when I hear her speaking, she said, "I'll say who did what? They did it."
Mm-hmm.
Naturally speak
Mm-hmm.
like that, and then you're corrected out of it. So I don't see what's the issue. Like if it was, I hear that unnatural. If it was so natural for us to say he, she, why as a small child don't we come out and say, well, he or she? We normally defer to that. I don't know if they
Mm-hmm.
ever pay attention to that. Like I listen to kids a lot because I work around them and they all do the same thing. They use pronouns that the trans community use. They say they. They don't say he. We make them say that. We
Mm-hmm.
make them.
Right.
So why? How is this so hard?
I don't think it is. I think it's selective
Yeah.
energy. You know what I mean? Like they just don't agree with that. So anything that supports
Yeah.
that
They're like,
or
yep.
anything that respects that, they're going to
They're
be
not gonna
against.
do it. Yep. Yep. Hard headed people, stubborn people,
Mm-hmm. Because
people that want.
like we were just talking, you change if you think about it. You're constantly adjusting yourself for other
Every
folk. As
day.
far as if
Yeah.
they change, you got to adjust to that.
Yeah. It's not hard.
Then
No, it's not hard.
I saw talking about they don't want their kids to learn about um not just trans, we're talking about trans, but LGBTQ in general in school. But you
Mm-hmm.
guys are crazy that y'all done took sex ed out even for your to learn about yourself. This
Mm-hmm.
y'all are.
But see, I go back to, there was a time they didn't want to hear anything about black folk.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
We weren't allowed to, have too much. We weren't allowed to be in the curriculum too much.
so at the end of the day, these people want to. I guess they don't want the legislation because that validates transness, and they just want to erase. They want to erase the trans community and
Mm-hmm.
get us. Doesn't that put us in a world of fear? Fear, the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we want to be? Why do we want to live like that? Why would you want your child to grow up? Why would you want your child to have a narrow view of the world? Why would you want your child to go out and be
Right.
like
Yeah.
that?
They need to know nothing rubs off.
Everybody's in a box.
Nothing rubs off. It don't matter who
Mm-hmm.
you're around, who
Yeah,
you
my
talk
daughter.
to. Nothing rubs off.
Right.
And the thing is, you gotta support trans rights in order for the rest of the world to kind of adjust. Because once it's forced in your face, once businesses and organizations
Mm-hmm.
and different places and stuff, once they're forced to acknowledge and support trans rights or make
Yeah.
different accommodations to make sure everybody is included, it's going to force people to have to deal with it. You're not
Yes.
going to be able to run anywhere and hide, except I guess in your
Mhm.
own home. But anything you do out in the public, you're going to meet the diversity of the public, and you're going
Yeah,
to have to
that's
deal with
life.
the
Yeah.
diversity of the
Mm-hmm.
public.
Right.
So we have to support trans rights. In order for us to make it a norm, we got to start with the legal aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Get the legal. Yeah.
I mean, even we can even talk to our children about it. But if there's no legal protection, that education can go left.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's true. So I think it should be a combination. The parents teaching and the parents going out and supporting.
Yep.
It's not, again, I can't think of a single reason why you should be against any marginalized getting the rights they need to have a happy, healthy life. That's all I think anyone ever wants. A black person, a trans person, lesbian, anyone in the rainbow family, everyone. We just want to be happy and safe. Why would you want to deny anyone that? It's beyond me. I don't get it.
And for those who say they're uncomfortable, I would love to ask them, have you ever had a conversation with someone trans? Have you, you know what I mean? Have you ever had an interaction, a one-on-one interaction with someone trans? Like if something's uncomfortable, you don't go head
Yeah, you
on
go
with
to
it.
the
Like
source. You go to the
you
source.
go to the source. So those who say they're uncomfortable, I would love to know if they've even ever sat and talked to a trans person.
You'd be surprised how wonderful they are.
Well, they're people. You know what I mean? You're gonna
Right.
have people in every group. You're gonna have people that are
Mm-hmm.
great people that are assholes, people that are helpful,
Mm-hmm.
people that are not.
Right.
That has nothing to do with
Exactly.
personality and swagger or your morals. It's just a different way that someone what became who they were.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for you to say I'm uncomfortable around trans people, I would just be curious if they ever um,
Did
sat
anything.
down and did anything. Yeah. Talk to someone in the trans community.
It's just they uncomfortable because of the norm. They can't justify or figure out why a man wanted to become a woman or vice versa. That's the biggest thing. They just don't understand. So it's like that's why they are the way they are. It's not even about like it's just people are humans. It's about why you want to be this way.
But you know what? I don't even like when people say man want to become a woman or woman want to become a man. I think it's
Right.
a man who's a man that unfortunately
Got trapped.
got trapped in in female structure or vice versa.
Right.
I don't like saying that they were one way and they wanted to become another way, because I feel like they were
Right.
always, you know, a true
That way.
trans person
Yes.
was always that way.
Right.
Whether they were able to had the opportunity to bring it out young, to live, you know, it's just like us in the sexual orientation end of it, you know,
Right.
being hidden, being on the DL until you. Everybody has their own journey of when they came out, when they did this, and I think trans people, you know, well, that's kind of hard to hide. You can't really hide that, but I think that they were men or women already, and
Right.
just like I said, was
But
just happened to get into that.
did you hear about the law that was passed in North Carolina where I think it's 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds don't have to have their parents' permission to go transition into a,
Right.
trans did you
You
hear that
know, but
one?
that would be interesting because my thing is, who paying for it?
State.
Right.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
if they're saying that they you can be at that age and
Yeah,
have, and you're talking
any
about the
medical
physical
thing
aspect,
they don't have
you're
to
talking about the
go to.
medical physical change, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So what insurance they got?
I
Like
don't know.
who? I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying. It don't make sense, right? Like it's not free.
because to me there's different levels. I mean, you know the mental aspect of it and all that, but the physical, you know, that has other factors that go
Yeah,
into it. You
it's
know,
money. Yeah,
that takes money, insurance, or you know, it takes all that kind of stuff
but
to be
that's
that
not
way.
gonna happen
So
because of that. But they passed that law though. They I don't understand the parents. They can, yeah, just like if they have.
not unless they require an adult, but just not necessarily their parents. I wonder if
Right.
that's
I
you
don't
know.
know. I think it was just adult period. I have to
Hmm.
look into it more, but yeah,
That's a
I
heavy.
just want to put that out there. Like they can
Yeah.
do stuff like that, pass laws like that, right? But no protection for the transgender right there.
Well, North Carolina is a heavily, what they call like a Bible Belt state,
Uh-huh.
and why they would pass something like that because the people there are very,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
so I can see why. But I say, you know, go to them and however, you know, their state is being able to be able to finance that. Great, great. Um, Kudos to North Carolina. I didn't know they were progressive like that.
Right.
It's just, whew, it's just a lot, you know, for that age, it's just a lot. But if you know, because I look at, I mean, of course, I look at orientation and gender identity different, but you know, gender identity, I mean, that is really truly from the start. I mean,
Hmm.
we may not real. I think we realize our gender before we realize our sexuality. You
Yeah.
know, so I can just imagine, you know, going through what some trans have to go through and suppress that just to put everyone else at ease.
Right.
Because it's not
Right.
something you can get away from. You know what I mean? It's not something that you can just wake up and shake off. Take
Mm-mm.
some Robitussin and go to
Right.
sleep.
Exactly. A shot of vodka, right? None of
Mm-mm-mm.
that. None of that.
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
It
It's
was,
just, you know. Mm.
Our guest speaker didn't come on tonight, I see.
you know, it looks like she's on another live, but that's okay.
I wish she had, because I really had some questions for her, but
Yeah.
okay,
Maybe
maybe another
another
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we'll get her another time.
but maybe, you know, it was intended for, you know, just people that aren't trans to have a discussion to help other people rationalize some of the thoughts that they are having.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more relatable,
Right. Hmm.
you know. You don't get to have these conversations, but again, help me understand is you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You could come and just have a conversation and get a different point of view, and hopefully you walk away a better person. And if not, at least you walked away hearing something different besides your own viewpoint.
Right.
Point here, I get a different perspective. I learn from everyone else. I may not agree, but I learned something. You help me understand
Mm-hmm.
the mindset of a person
Mhm.
against the topic that we're having. Because people feel diverse ways, and like I said, I be on all these different broadcast streams on YouTube and Twitter, and I'm realizing there's one common denominator. No matter what you're talking about, it seems like it's just personal pain.
Mm.
A lot of it comes from the personal pain that person actually had to deal with in their life, and then they just misconstrue a lot of stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
It's wild.
Well, if you need to, if anybody who is within the sound of our voice, if they
Yes.
need to get information or get educated or
Mm-hmm.
maybe meet someone who represents a trans person not represents but who is a trans person, go to the website, request a meeting with us. We'll help you out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's our whole point. We will talk to you. We will explain things to you. We will have you talk to a trans person if you don't have that opportunity in your life, let us know. Hit us up.
Whatever happened.
www.imeg.org.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever happened to I forgot his name. He was a trans man. On NI. He was I don't know if was a member, but was going to be a member. But can't remember. It started with an X. Xavier. You don't remember? You don't remember him?
The
He
volunteer?
no, he would come to the when we did the Townsend karaoke. He,
Oh, okay.
he
I wasn't there, so I don't know who.
oh yeah. I wonder what happened because yeah.
Available tonight. And then a lot of times you gotta realize too with the trans community, um, some spaces they aren't comfortable in speaking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because it is a different type of safe space. We can like this right here. We try to make it a safe space, but it is still
Yeah.
open for anyone to kind of come in and
Speak.
speak.
Mhm.
And then we have a lot of trans people who, for professional reasons, have not revealed that they are transgender instead of cisgender. It's just not um, a safe space for them to do that.
Okay.
And it's okay.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
If you are a trans person watching and you wanna correct anything he said here tonight or you disagree, feel free to write something in the comments.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
this is
Please,
just
please do. We would love to hear any kind of feedback from the trans community.
this is our opinions.
Forever hold your peace.
I mean, again, at the end of the day, I support the trans community. I support
Oh
all
yeah, sure.
communities. I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to be safe. Um, at least you're safe around me. I want you to know
You're safe
Mhm.
around I am me. You're
that.
safe around all of us.
Yes.
Come to the functions, come to the parties, come to the seminars,
Mhm.
come to the meetings. You
Yeah,
are in a safe space.
yes. I think everybody should get involved because we
We're all
all in this
family.
together. Yep. We're all in this together. Yeah. Get our community on track because some of the stuff is yeah. All I'm
We
gonna
need to
say
get each other in track too,
yeah.
because we have a lot of diversity among ourselves, and
Mhm.
there's a few of us that hate on each other, and
Mm,
we need
I
to
was
kind of
getting ready to
combat
say,
that.
yep, yep. Cis women talking about trans women ain't women. Yeah, all that craziness. It's sad. We
Yes,
our
it
own
is.
enemy. We our own
Yeah,
enemies.
yeah.
You know what we didn't discuss? and I noticed it on YouTube. Believe it or not, and this is where I probably would need a trans woman to come on, or trans male. The
Mhm.
trans community is speaking out against each other. Like I
What?
heard, yes, yes. I've heard
How?
of Flame Monroe. Like I've heard Flame Monroe say some controversial things, and I'm like, you, because you're saying these controversial things, you're going against your own movement
Right.
to
It's like,
helping the trans folks.
yeah,
Hmm.
look yourself in the mirror.
Yes, like Flame Monroe. I'm not sure what goes on with her, but the things that she said, I'm not trans, but I'd be appalled. I'm like, I can't believe you said that. I've heard her say, trans women, you are not women. Get over it. I've heard Flamin' Rose say so many things, and I see these homophobic and transphobic men rallying behind her as
Mm.
if it's the trans role model. And I'm like,
Hmm.
why are you doing this? You're making it harder for all of us when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, you think they're still reaching for validation from the heterosexual community, like some kind of deep mental
I don't
uh
know what's flaming, bro. I just some of the stuff. I don't care what you say. You a trans woman. You are not a woman. Um, you'll never be a woman. You'll never be your mother. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that could be hurtful, very hurtful.
yes, let
what
it.
makes a woman? I
Right.
mean, I'm saying outside of, I guess having
Their
physical
genitalia, yeah,
their
yeah,
genitalia, but my thing would be what
exactly.
makes a woman? You gonna tell somebody they're not a real woman, you're not a real woman for saying that. Like
Right,
what's a real
exactly.
woman? A real
You
woman is what? You think that you have to be cisgender in order to be real?
no.
Right,
So you don't believe in the power of the spirit, you don't believe the power in, you know what I mean, within yourself?
exactly. Yeah. How you
Believe
feel?
a trans. She believes she believes that
That blow my mind.
to be their own gender. So, but she is really. I mean, she's been on platforms speaking this. She's validating these people, and I personally don't like it. And another thing that's pushing people that I've noticed when it comes to the trans community is it's a lot of detransitioners that have
Mm.
passed, and they are sharing information and talking about why they transition. But in my head, when I listen to them speak, it sounds like you were never trans in the beginning. Like you did it as
Yeah.
a trend, or you did it for multiple other reasons outside of feeling dysphoria.
Yeah, it has
Hmm.
to, because if you're true, to me, in my mind, my own opinion, personal, if you're truly a trans, you can't reverse that. Doesn't reverse. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like that
right.
just doesn't. You can't be like get stressed over
One
something
thing.
one day and go, you know what? I'm going back to this because, like you were saying,
Right.
Peter, you never were trans in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're truly trans, and that's why I get upset when people make light of it, because if you're truly trans, you cannot shake that. That is
Mm-mm.
not something that you can go back and forth with.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they have a whole lot. You can go on YouTube and Twitter. They have live panels. They're speaking out. So I mean, for people that are against trans legislation being passed and supporting anything trans, they have people that's actually helping them. They, giving them the ammunition from the community
Mm-mm.
or who were in within the community. So it's crazy out here.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Always some controversy.
I mean, that's just like, to me, the thought of a trans woman Republican, conservative Republican, is like, what? That sounds like you're contradicting yourself in that whole in that
Right.
whole little setup. Like, how, where they make them? How does that work?
Oh no, I really don't.
It's,
That's wild, though. I'm gonna have to listen to that because that is pretty wild to have
Mhm.
someone who is represents that to speak
Be negative.
in that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Ugh.
It sounds like it comes from hurt. Something is not
Yeah.
somebody hurting. Something's
That's
hurting.
why I said, do they need validation from the heterosexual community still? Like, are they still
Right.
reaching for some kind of affirmation or something from them?
Right.
I
'Cause
He is adamant about it. I have been on
anime. Ooh, that's a big word. That's like, yeah.
her. He goes on other trends, invites them into the live stream, and
Oh
I'm
my
thinking,
goodness.
oh my God, I can't believe it.
I don't think they know what they want to be. What's going on with them?
It sounds like self hatred. I mean,
Yeah,
do
that's
you
what I'm
really love
saying.
yourself?
It's a
Right.
trans
Or
folk.
you just want to have a podcast or a streaming to get views.
No, well, Flamin' Rowe is a famous comedian, so.
Oh, okay.
And I just want Delaware to know when I was on there and I said something to her, she said F Delaware.
Mm-mm-mm.
What is wrong with this
I'm
lady?
surprised they ain't cancel that, do that, or whatever out. Whatever.
Shoot, when you on the when you doing a lot of them podcasts, you can pretty much say what you want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they be canceling. You know, when we get together and somebody say something bad about our community, we get together and they get canceled. Okay, they got to go.
Yeah, you need to listen to her. She goes in, she talks about how you need to stop telling people to call themselves cis because you want to be labeled as a woman. She
Oh
goes,
my goodness! And what you say the name was again of the podcast?
her name is Flamin' Rowe,
Flaming Row.
and I don't even know why her life on here
The
because
only one that I see on, and I don't watch her on podcasts. I see her on, just regular social media. Is oh, what is her name? I want to say something Madison or something.
Oh,
yeah,
T.S. Madison.
T.S. Madison. Isn't she a comedian or something? Or she not? I don't know who she
She
is, but
does
I
a
don't know. I
lot
mean,
of
I don't know
things.
what her profession, but she be. I be listening to her.
She's an entertainer. I don't know what she entertains, but I know she used to be on Facebook. I used to watch her lives all the time. She's
Hmm.
really funny. I met her
I
in
love her
person.
from
I
there.
came to one of her shows and took a picture with her and everything.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
if you guys want to learn more about the trans, I have someone on my page. Her name is Nambi Daily. Please follow her. You'll learn so much about the trans community.
Hmm.
I say get the information before you make any of these decisions or decide to feel a certain way. Don't be swayed. At least if you're gonna dislike something, have an educated opinion about it. It's that's the best way. It makes more sense to me versus just feeling away and when you gotta defend it, you can't. You just look ignorant.
Hmm. My thing is, can you please have an educated opinion? You
Right.
know what I mean? Can you just have a little educated opinion if you're gonna? I mean,
Right.
you have a right to feel
Or
however you want
common
to feel,
sense.
but at least educate yourself so you'll have some kind of justification, like you said, of or validation or whatever of what your stance is. Because just going off the hip, just to saying crazy stuff. These are people lives you're talking about. These are real people
Right.
that want to do the same simple things you're doing that you're not even noticing you're getting away with because you're used to getting away with it. You're used to having
Hmm.
these rights. You don't think about them because you're used to them.
Hmm.
If you have a group of people who aren't used to that, if you weren't used to it, then you would have a different mindset.
Instead of talking negative, you're supposed to be talking positive.
Yeah. Just
And
look out for human
Maybe
beings.
you need to look at yourself. She need to look at herself in the mirror. Who does is she really who she's pertained to be, or is she
again,
faking it?
stop erasing the trans community because
Hmm.
the
Well, they
'Cause,
first of all they
don't-
can't be erased because they're here to stay.
yeah, if you
You
could
know.
if you could erase the trans community, you will be erasing a lot of your rights and abilities. Just know that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
Q plus people in general. I don't know why, and I find it mind boggling when people talk about us, the whole community itself, the rainbow community, when people talk about us, they don't talk about and acknowledge our contributions to your
Right.
everyday. If you take us out of here, you're going to miss a whole lot. We have done
Mm-hmm.
much for you. You don't even realize it. It's not public, but you don't realize, you
Right.
know, what we have done, our contributions to society and things. So maybe, if people were informed, educated, maybe they'll have a different view. Because I just feel like everything about us is about the stuff that they show on TV, like sex work, or we at these
Mm.
parties, like the L word and
L
all
word, yeah, all that, and
that
yeah, it's all about sex and who can
sex
get who, and
thing, and we're making music, we're freaking making clothes. Everything about us is just a whole big party.
right.
And who we are.
First
You
of
know,
all, there's not too many conservative heterosexuals that made a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot
Right.
that it was invented by them or produced by them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
and
They've always been backed by some type of minority group.
yep,
Right.
and people at the center of the civil rights movement was a gay man. So I think, go do your homework. At the
Mm-hmm.
NAACP, a gay man helped structure that, and then they booted him out.
Mm. Just like in the churches, who's on the choir?
Look what we talked about last help me understand Zoom. The second march on Washington was for lesbian and gay rights.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was lesbian and gay, but I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you there was a lot of trans people in that march.
Yep. Exactly.
Hey, how do y'all think y'all learn how to dance and all that stuff? That was from us.
Mhm.
The Roaring Twenties and all of that stuff. A lot of those people that
Li-
was
Yeah, like the balls they be having. I walked in one a while back, but the balls they be having, and it's amazing. If you ever been to one, you need to go to one. We should all go to one.
we are entrenched in the culture and the history of everywhere.
Hmm.
We are your inventors. We are uh,
Hmm.
why you have sex. You had the what was it? The sex that is because it was studied by Kenzie. He was a bisexual male. We
Oh
have to
yeah.
your life. How dare
Hmm.
Right. Exactly.
Hmm.
But
I don't
yeah,
know, but like we said, at the end of the day, you need to. It's very, very important to support trans rights,
very
um,
important.
because we need that along with starting in your home to make it a norm, to make it to where no one has a spotlight on them and they can just live their life, be
Mm-hmm.
productive as they want to be, without anybody giving them extra issues. Along with, we already got life shit.
Right. Exactly.
To have that on top of it, that's just ridiculous. So I think, and like people were saying, the trans community has been such an intricate part in why we have the right to do things that we do,
Mm-hmm.
why we do certain things that we do, and it's only right to protect them like they've been protecting us
Hmm.
all along.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Especially the Stonewall in New York City. There a lot of transgenders on
They
there.
have been, they have, especially with the LGBTQIA community, they have been at everything, the forefront and the front line, of all that we can call ours.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
and we have to return that favor. It's only right to return that favor
Exactly.
and make sure that they're protected.
For sure. For sure.
Well, I mean, we didn't have our special guest, but I think that we had a very good conversation, and
Oh yeah, we had a
I hope
very
the
good.
trans community
Yes.
that's listening to us now, that will listen to us later. Please give us some feedback. Let us know how you feel
Mhm.
about what we talked about. Let us know, as Pete was saying, if we need to correct anything, if we misspoke on anything, please let us know.
No,
Uh,
yeah. We only human. We human. We
Yeah,
learn
maybe
into.
there's something you want us to talk about on on another Help Me Understand episode. So
Mhm.
please go to www.imecorp.org and just send us an email, send us a note. Just
A
let
lot
us
of
know how you
information.
feel,
Yeah, it's a lot
positive
of
or negative.
information.
Yeah,
Hmm.
positive or negative. Let us know.
Yep.
Especially the trans community. Just want to know uh, what your thoughts was on tonight's Help Me Understand Zoom.
Yes. Yeah. We want to learn. I still know. I want to learn. So,
But yeah, we definitely, and it's a lot of stuff coming up in Delaware. Like I said, probably in the next year, by it being election year, some of it's going to come up. And we need to be there for it. We need to support it. We
right.
need to support the legislation. We need to make sure that it goes into the books.
But don't they have some transgender on in politics in Delaware? I thought we had a few.
Sarah, you talking about Sarah McBride?
Yeah. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So shouldn't be too hard enough. I know there's a lot of
Well, I
red.
mean, unfortunately, she got to deal with the same
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
BS
giving.
red tape that a lot of
Yeah.
others, have to deal with.
At least we
But
got her
that's why
in the.
we need to. That's why we need to support and
Yeah.
and, and come out in droves.
Yeah, but you need
Mm-hmm.
one person, in the political realm, you need multiple people. You need
Hmm.
Right.
so she's a figurehead. Yes, she's there. We recognize her. We're proud of her. But you got to do more than just watch her. You got to get
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. For
Yeah, and
sure.
I think that another key is we definitely the LGBTQTIA community are going to support each other. We definitely need to do that, but we also need the allies. That makes a big
Oh
major
yeah.
impact. A big major impact. We
The
need
more
the
the
allies.
merrier. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right, right. We need you to fight for just human rights, fight for trans rights, um, because you never know. Don't think that just because you're an ally that this doesn't that your life isn't going to be touched by this or
Yeah.
affected by this.
A lot of allies have family members that are, in the community. So they should definitely be looking out.
Hmm.
So yeah, we had a good discussion tonight.
Yes, we did. I think we did. I think we did.
And yeah, look forward to next month.
Hmm. You gonna let them know what we're gonna talk about? You wanna
Uh
little
I know
spill?
we talked on it yesterday, but did we did we like made it set in stone, or are we still gonna like trying to get stuff together? Is that set in
No,
stone?
we can. No, we can set it in stone. Go ahead and set it in stone. Once
Oh
you say it, it is.
yeah,
You
it's
remember?
more so yeah about the we want to talk about what is it, stud on stud or
No,
touch me
that's
not
what you
stud?
want to. What the general topic will be is, we'll put a label to it, but it'll basically be you're curious about stud on stud. I know
Curiosity
Donna's been
about
going to
that.
talk about this for a long time. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do it next time, but it's not going to be only about that. We're just going to talk about what are you curious about? What's your curiosity when it comes to the rainbow family?
Yes.
Whether you're a
Okay.
part of the rainbow family or whether you're
Or
not
not.
part of the rainbow family. We're going
Exactly.
to go ahead and leave it open. It's the holiday. We just want to give good cheer, but we're going to give you a chance to let us know, what are you
Yeah.
curious about? We have a lot of people that
Mhm.
ask us crazy questions, and it always starts off with, I'm not trying to offend you, but
Blah 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 blah.
and we have that in within the family too, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You have questions about preferences when it comes
Exactly.
to dating. We had a show on dating preferences, but this one is really going to be about more than dating. It's going to be about anything, whatever your curiosities is. So
Right.
if you want to go to the website and let us know, or you can email me and Donna. I'll give my email. Donna, you can give
Mhm.
yours, angel@imecorp.org. You can email me and tell me. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong curiosity. If you have a curiosity, if it's something you've always wanted to know, ask it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not limited to one topic. It's just the
It's
community in general.
yeah, it goes abroad. Yes, it's yeah.
And
It's
it
yeah.
is, and people within the community, those family members within the community, especially you. I know a lot of people, a lot of labels have questions about other labels. We have a
Mhm.
seminar that we address this with, but we'll be happy to talk about it on the Help Me Understand Zoom.
Yes. It's gonna be next time. Okay.
I know a topic that
Yeah.
I'm interested in. What
Huh?
are
What happened? What
I
she
didn't
said?
hear you.
listen, a topic that I would be interested in is what are the issues that
Uh-huh.
other with the rainbow family face? Like what issues do lesbians still currently have? Besides sex,
Mm.
because we always talk about our trans brothers and sisters, but we
Mm-hmm.
think about the things that's still currently going on with the rest of the rainbow family. I'm sure they
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that could be a following one. That's good too.
Hmm.
That's
We
something.
definitely 2024 is coming. We still need topics to fill that up. We talked
Yeah.
about a lot this year. We would like to talk about more next year. We definitely can hit that topic, P.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Go from there. Yeah.
And if anybody else has a topic they want to hear about or talk about or whatever, and
Yeah.
these are just our opinions. Me, Donna,
Yes.
and P comes on with
Yes.
this. We are not professional therapists or
Mm-mm.
anything, or
Not at all.
doctors or anything like that. It's our own
I'm learning too. So,
uneducated, as I call it,
right.
our own personal opinions. But I think the discussion needs to be had for a lot of things. And you never know, depending on the topic, we may be able to get someone to come in here if we need that professional um,
Right.
point of view.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Which will help, you know.
Well, is any last words for everyone, or we're going to just go ahead and say our closing statements and keep it going? So, P,
Yes.
you want to say anything with your last words?
yes, I want to say, to everyone that's listening, um, number one, I hope if you're in the trans community, we didn't offend you. Anything that you heard here, if we did, or anything was misquoted, please correct us. And I just want to say to everyone else, support the community, support your rainbow family. Don't vote against us. I mean, just because it says trans there doesn't mean it won't affect you in the future. That's all. Vote
Mm-hmm.
us. Let's be a real fan.
Exactly.
Donna, you want to do the closing,
Yeah.
or you
Oh,
want me
yeah.
to? Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
I just
just
want to
say, I
say
just want to say
support. Okay.
before you close it, I just want to say I love my trans family. I support y'all. I hope everyone else will support, as Pete was saying, supporting the trans community is also supporting yourself. Love each
Yes.
other as much as you love yourself, and love yourself just as much as you love others.
Exactly. Yes. And get involved and support, and look out for everybody, allies, everybody in the community. Just look out for each other, and we probably can go. Who knows? The sky's the limit. Yeah. But thank you for joining, everyone. This was a good discussion. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next month.
Good night, all.
All right. Good night.